Welcome to Season 3 of the Weekly Fellowship Podcast. I'm Coach Audye.
And I'm Coach Regan.
We're here with you weekly to anchor and empower women to break cycles,
build resilience,
and rediscover self-worth
through practical insights,
faith-based encouragement,
and a supportive community. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here today with a special guest, and of course, always I'm here with my good friend Audye Gonzalez. Audye, how are you this week?
I'm still pregnant, Regan. How are you this week?
I cannot believe you're still pregnant. I want to introduce Claire really fast and then we'll just get into it. But Claire, we're so glad you're here. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so happy to be here with you guys. Thanks for having me here today. So I am one of the coaches with the Rising Tide Fellowship, but I am a Christian mental health counselor, love supporting people with the specialty of anxiety and trauma, which of course we go real deep with that. But I also am a coach, so I offer Holy Spirit-led coaching for those who want to learn to hear God's voice better, for those who really want to step into deeper wholeness in a way, like when you've really done therapy and you've done that work, but you're ready to go deeper, that's when coaching can really come in. So love supporting people with coaching as well. And yeah, just so happy to be here with you guys today for this podcast.
We're glad you're here. And we're glad that are we glad that Audie's baby waited so we could record this? I don't know.
I think we're
I don't know if we
glad.
are.
I think we're glad because we had talked about okay, maybe Regan will do this one on her own. And honestly, I was like, I really don't want you to do any of the guests on your own because I want to do the guests too. It's gonna be so much fun. So I'm so glad to have you here, Claire. I'm glad we got you on before she showed up. So
oh my gosh, I hope she shows up right after this. So then
it would be nice.
Ryan has been, Ryan is a coach in the Rising Tide Fellowship as well. She's our grief coach, and Ryan has been saying, Audie, you gotta go into labor on a live call and really just utilize this.
Oh, I know. I thought that was, and I told Regan, what was it yesterday? I think we were talking. I can't remember when we were talking, but I told my husband the same thing. I was like, yeah, I haven't gone into labor because I haven't been live at the right time, and it's like I don't have everything set up to record it for content. And I was like, so if I do that, then I'll go into labor. And yeah, my husband didn't think that was funny.
No.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I'm not gonna do it, but I thought it was funny.
I love it. Yes. Okay, so Claire, one thing we do every week is we start off with a humble pie highlight where we kind of share something where we, had a big dose of humility this week. And I usually plan mine out in advance and I didn't this week. So I'm like, how about y'all go first and then I'll think of which big epic failure I want to share.
Oh, I love that, Regan. I will totally jump in and go first. I'm still pregnant. I think that's my humble pie highlight. And by humble pie highlight, I mean obviously there's only so much we can control over that, right? But I think my biggest thing about being pregnant right now is I've talked so much about peeing, and I'm not gonna bring that up. It's good that there's other things that are happening, and those are, I would say, more interesting. But good grief, um, just the changes. I'm 41 weeks in a couple of days. I'm tired. I feel just like there's a lot of stuff going on. And over these last couple of days, you guys, I've not gotten out of bed. I have not put on makeup. I've showered. I don't think I've brushed my hair. As you can tell, I've normally have straightened hair and we're put together a little bit more than usual. And I just I'm not feeling it. I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling being pregnant. I'm feeling a large child inside me. I'm just feeling it. And it's been really humbling. It's been a really humbling experience to sit here and cry for no apparent reason, and to waddle around the house. And I don't know what it's called. You know how the plumber's crack in the back, but in the front with the belly. I don't know what you call that. But none of my clothes fit. I'm just
beauty. I think you call it beauty.
You call it
majesty.
Beauty?
Majestic.
That is mine. That's mine.
Oh my gosh. Audie, if this is your humble pie, you're pulling it off really well.
Yes, you're so good. Claire, do you have one you have thought of or coming to mind?
Do this. This is such a great way to start a show. I think for me, I mean, what's coming to mind for me, so I have a social media that promotes the coaching work that I do. And just, I've been trying to show my face more on there and taking time to create content and reels. And I put all this too much work one day into a reel. Finally posted it, felt so good. And it posts, and my voice is like a squeaky voice the whole video.
I saw that one. I thought that was on purpose.
I'm leaving it there with no context. I'm just gonna have a squeaky voice. And I think it's because I tried speeding it up a little bit and it sounded normal when I was editing that post, and then Instagram made it go way squeaky. But it is what it is. I was like, whatever, humility. I'm here for it.
The cutest little mouse ever, giving us all of her information. I love it. I knew you sped it up, and I thought you were just like doing it. Going. I just read it as confidence. Claire's confident. Okay, as you guys are talking, I'm thinking of mine, and I had a really intense pregnancy where I couldn't even walk for a while. Like, it was just really bad. So my husband took over so many of our responsibilities in the house, and he did a great job, but it was also like, something he's prioritizing is for us to be able to outsource some things, some help, some cleaning, some cooking, some things like that. And I've been kind of giving him a hard time. Like, I don't really know if we need some of the things you're dreaming about here, bud, but okay, like, and then now I'm postpartum, and it's officially, I've been 3 months postpartum. I've slowly taken back over things that are my responsibility. And as I'm doing it, I don't know how to, I've been feeling kind of frustrated with my husband and kind of fussy. And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what it is?" He hasn't said it. He's been so nice and so quiet, but he's letting me realize how much he's been doing. Like, and it's just been dawning on me, like, every time I have to do something that I haven't been doing, like, he's just quietly watching it, like, hit me, like, bam. And I've been so mad at him. I've been so mad at him, but I'm like getting madder, realizing that this is my like pride that was like, I don't think we need more help around. I think we're good. And now I'm realizing, like, oh, it's because I wasn't doing anything. That's why. I was doing something. I was focusing on the baby and growing the baby, but yeah, it's just, that's a big slice of humble pie that I'm still like mid bite in, and it still tastes gross over here. So that's mine this week.
Wow, Regan.
Yeah.
We had to throw in we had to go all the way on the dadgum sad one. My
Oh.
goodness.
I always have one. I actually had a client this week though say, you know what? I love y'all's humble pie highlights, and I'm gonna make this one instead of like shaming herself. She was just like, whatever. I'm gonna just like feel forward fast. Here we go. So we're feeling
Good.
forward fast here.
That's so good.
So good. It's so true. And like, as you guys are doing these podcasts more, I'm sure it just totally reframes your life whenever you have these moments. Like, I'm going to be thinking of my life a little differently now. Yeah, fail forward fast. I love that.
Yeah, little tasty pie.
You poor thing.
Okay, so today we're going to really utilize you, Claire, and just, I'll tell the audience, for me, and I've told y'all both that in 2025, one of my goals was just to learn more from Claire. Just be around Claire, learn more things because she's such a wealth of knowledge, and it's in such a useful way and what your specialties are. So let's just crack open this conversation. I think we're going to start by, and Audie, you jump in here anytime, but I think I want to start by just um, setting the stage for me personally. I was starting to experience symptoms that looked kind of like anxiety after I had my first baby 10 years ago. But when I shared it with some friends who were medicated for anxiety, they were like, "No, that's not no, don't call that anxiety, no," because it almost invalidated what they were experiencing, and they're like, "Don't call that, And so I'm like, "Okay, it's not anxiety. I don't know. Okay, it's something though. It's something that I didn't have before, and I have it now, and I don't know what this is, but." lots of racing thoughts. I would all like I still do this when my husband leaves the house. I think like I wonder if this is the last day I'll ever see him. Like that's a normal thought that I have. Bye, honey. Maybe that's our last kiss we ever have because you're gonna die before you come home. I mean, just like, but I think this is a common experience is that we experience some symptoms of anxiety or something like anxiety. And then also a lot of distraction, a lot of distraction. And as my workload increased with family life, with work life, my distractions got bigger and bigger and I had a really hard time focusing. So I think this is probably a common experience for different people. And I would just love to kind of hear some of your thoughts on that experience so far.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing openly about that. I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people have this experience, and it's very easy to have it, not normalized in the way that, from my biased opinion as a therapist, as it should be. Um, yes, I mean, anxiety is part of life. Like you think of, we have a nervous system, we have a fight, flight, or freeze response, and we have a regulated part of our nervous system too. Every single day, all of us are going in and out of all of those different states on a more mild degree, sometimes on a more severe degree. I think especially for moms, moms who have given birth, moms who have such a busy life, there's obviously the hormonal elements that's added into things, which totally doesn't help. And we just live busy lives and the cortisol is going. And so it's very normal for us to go into those moments of what we might call anxiety. There is a difference from like day to day quote anxieties versus clinical anxiety, from a mental health perspective. When someone really has clinical anxiety, that's like it's to a degree that's not normal for what's going on in their life. The perspective that I like to take towards supporting people with anxiety. One of the methodologies that I like to use in my therapy work is internal family systems, or IFS. Basically, all that means is parts work, if you've heard of that. In other words, when we experience anxiety, it is just a part of us that's feeling anxious in that moment. Some part of us is terrified for some reason about whatever it is, whether it's big or small. To the nervous system, it feels like a really big deal. And these little parts within us are trying to get our attention. And a lot of times I find that's what anxiety is. It's letting us know it's not okay with something. I don't feel safe. It's projecting some sort of image into the future, or it's bringing up something from the past, like, watch out. And it creates this physiological effect for us that doesn't feel good, or intrusive thoughts, like you mentioned. It's a normal human experience, but we don't have to suffer with it. And I think that's where it's really important for us to normalize this as part of the human experience. And there's things we can do about it so you don't have to stay stuck in that either. So just as like a little tidbit, that's
Mm.
initially my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Audie, do you have any questions to kind of dig in further to that?
I really like that. I feel like oftentimes, like, the one thing I hear with my clients or like even myself previously is like, I just need to get rid of the anxiety. Like, I just need to kind of like put it away. And so I like, if I were to ask you one thing, like, I know what suppression does. Like, I've suppressed my anxiety for years. And so I would just ask you, what are the pros and cons maybe of like just putting out that anxiety, like pretending it's not there or just white knuckling through it? Like what would you speak to somebody that's making those decisions?
Good. Love that question. So often, all of us do this, right? So often we're either avoiding emotions, or we're suppressing the emotions, or we're overindulging in them. We're like really identified with the emotion and we're getting lost in it too. We kind of go between
Mm,
those two things unless we're really handling it in an appropriate way. So, and the reason why we do it is, once again, we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to manage through life. It's like, I don't know a better way. I'm going to muscle my way through this. Um, Short term, it can be beneficial, but when we're chronically doing it, it's really not effective. And then it leads to all kinds of physiological problems for us too down the line. So, what I always let people know is anxiety is just a sign we're not feeling something. It's a sign we're up in the head. We're going in circles, again, like we're projecting ideas into the future or the past. We're not going into the body to really metabolize that emotion, because underneath anxiety is a core, whether it's a fear, whether it's an insecurity, I don't feel good enough, whatever it is, there's some feeling that's not being felt there. The last thing we want to do is to drop in and feel those emotions usually, especially when it's like, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. Why would I slow down to feel my emotions? That feels very unproductive. But the truth is, neuroscientists have found it only takes 90 seconds to feel an emotion all the way through. When we slow down, get into the body to feel it, and when we don't identify with the story behind the anxiety anymore, too. And so that's one of the things I love teaching my clients. Like, how do we actually feel an emotion? Because we're not really taught this, usually. But it's a really important skill, and it might feel challenging at first, but when you get into the method of doing that more regularly, all of a sudden you go in, you feel that emotion, and within minutes, you feel this clarity, you feel this peace that comes. All of a sudden, you have your mind back, and then you can make a better decision moving forward on what you want to do with the situation.
I love that.
Oh,
That's so good. And like I don't know about you, Reagan. I know that again, we talk about like what we hear from our clients a lot. Like, and I think that that's why this podcast has been so beneficial for a lot of people has been because we take the exact information we're getting and we ask, we talk, we go. And so one of the other things that I hear is like I just need to like pray it away, basically to pray the anxiety away. And Reagan, I don't know if you hear that or Claire with your clients as well, but like where prayer is, there's a part which prayer plays, of course, but where is it that we need to like step in and do a little bit more?
Yes, so good. I think a lot of people, especially in the Christian world, have that question. Um, my personal biased opinion on it is prayer is important. Absolutely, let's pray with it. The truth of the matter is, God is the healer of all things. Sometimes we're going to go to Him and we're going to be able to pray, and it goes away. It's incredible. He completely is the medicine. Other times, I find that God wants us to go on a journey. And that journey of healing might take a little longer. And that might mean I need to go into my psychology. I need to go into my memories. I need to go into my nervous system and do a little bit more of deeper work here. God's going to be with me as I do that. But that's where doing, therapy can be really helpful. For example, hiring a coach can be really helpful. In the coaching work that I offer, I really love to integrate the spirituality with the psychology because both play a role. We are ultimately spiritual beings first. Absolutely. But we're living in this body. We're living with these brains that have biochemical imbalances. We've been through life. We have reasons why sometimes prayer alone only gets us so far. That's not to say that God can't heal anything, but it might mean that, again, there's a different way He wants to support us in healing. And I think He gave us a psychology. He gave us a nervous system. He literally created that. And that means He's created ways for us to heal in those modalities when we know how to do it. And I think partnering with God as we do it is the most effective way to do it. Healing's going to be quicker. It's going to be more long lasting. He's a part of all of it, though. That's my opinion on it.
I love that because what it does for me is it makes me feel safe to learn new ways to heal and learn new. I mean, my cancer journey, I had to learn. Oh, some, like you said a minute ago, and you just slipped it in there, but you said if we suppress, it's going to have other physiological effects. And I'm like, boom, 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 that's my story. If we suppress, we will have other physiological effects because the body keeps score. And so for me, I had to learn exactly what you're saying, how to do it. But for so long, I refused to learn how to feel an emotion, what to do with anxiety, what to do with anything that's going on in my head or my heart or my body because I was so scared that it would lead me away from my faith. I just honestly, I thought if I look up any of that stuff, I think that's all pretty new agey, and I think I'm going to look up in a year and I'm not going to be a good Christian. I'm going to have left the church. And that just didn't happen. And I think, I don't think that I'm the only one who's experienced that fear, but I was really just making decisions from a place of fear and ignorance. And I don't want to be hard on myself, but just a lack of knowledge and understanding how you can find modalities that are dangerous to your faith, but you can also find many that are going to make you closer to Christ and make you more like Him.
Exactly. Yes, because I really believe at the heart of healing it's coming back to connection with yourself, it's coming back to connection with God, and it's coming back to connection with others, because that's what God's all about. He's all about relationship. When we're doing work with psychology or therapy or even coaching, it's helping us break down the barriers to ourselves. Like, if I'm experiencing a symptom and it's not going away, there's something in me that I'm not connected to. There's something in me I haven't really dove into yet. God knows what's going on. He wants me to also connect with it and know what's going on, and He can help lead me there. But I think the example too with like suppression, if we're suppressing emotions chronically, or if we struggle with people pleasing for years, or if we struggle with a whole variety of issues, it's probably a sign there's something that we've gone unconscious to. And God, with the therapy work, with the psychology work, with the coaching work, it's going and it's illuminating, it's bringing light to us, it's helping us to integrate that back into who we are, and to offer that to God too, because when anything we bring before God, He's going to heal, but we have to be the ones to offer it to Him. And it's hard to offer Him something when we don't even have full awareness of what's going on. And so I think that's where therapy, for example, can be really beneficial, because we're growing in that awareness of what's actually going on inside. The truth will set you free. That will help to uncover those things so we can finally get freed of these things.
That is so true. I want to jump in super quick because I've heard from so many people, and these haven't been clients. These have been people that I have spoken to that won't make the jump because they want to give something to God that they have no awareness of. And so it can be so difficult to jump into something like therapy or something like coaching because it's like, well, I should just be able to give this to God, even though I have no idea what it is. And like, yes, we can still place that at his feet at the altar, but it doesn't stop there. It's like, here are these things that I'm going to give you, and I'm about to go search for it. And so if you want to just like hop in the car with me and like let's go ahead and go, but like I've already given you the fact that I'm going to search, but we have to search. And I think that like with the awareness aspect that oh my gosh, I'm getting fired up. We get so stuck. We get so stuck because we're like, I just want this to be over. Or I just don't want to think about this right now. Or like I don't have time, I don't have capacity. Like I've heard that with so many people. And it's like I'm just not gonna think about it right now. And like again, Claire, Regan, if you guys can attest, I know for myself, physiologically it showed up with Hashimoto's autoimmune disease for me. But I still had to face it. Regardless on whatever I chose with the Hashimoto's, I still had to face the other mental issues if I were to move forward and accept the gifts from God that I was supposed to take. Um, so I think that that's another thing. It's like, how can we encourage those of us in when we were in that moment, when we were stuck, when we were scared to like walk through and like break that barrier? Like, how can we encourage people to like take that step? Like, this is holy work.
Yes. Yeah, I love how you say that. It's holy work. This is sacred ground. Um, I mean, it comes down to intimacy. It's like, for us to really heal something, we have to get intimate with it. And a lot of us don't want to do that. It's like, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, or like, I've tried and it should be all better now. But we're bypassing. We're not really getting intimate with what's here, what we need to face, and what we need to honestly bring love to. God is love. It says this in the Bible. If God is love, He's calling me to be like Him. God loved His enemies, right? When Jesus walked the earth, He loved His enemies. He was kind to those who hurt Him. He went and hung out with the sinners. How much more are we called to do that even within ourselves? Like, this symptom I'm dealing with, it's my enemy. I hate it. I want to get rid of it. Can this just go away? I need to learn to love that, because it's a messenger. It's here to tell me information. And God created our bodies so intelligently. When we experience symptoms, whether that's physical or mental health symptoms, it's just telling us something's out of balance. That's all it is. And it's an alert system to let us know, I need to get close with that. I need to listen to that. I think in our Western society, so often we're like, we just got to keep going. We just got to keep being productive. I got a lot of things on my to-do list. I got to take the kids over here, whatever it is. We're not really slowing down and getting intimate with what's actually present and listening to it. And again, that's where I really love the internal family systems modality, because it gives you a framework of like, well, how do I listen to my symptom? Like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, how do I get intimate with these things? Like, I just don't understand how that works. IFS is wonderful because you can partner with God. He's the one who brings the light into the dark places. You know, if we're just doing psychology work on our own, it can get really dark quickly sometimes, depending on where you're going inside. But when you bring God with you, He is the light you're bringing in, and it's going to go better. And again, using frameworks such as IFS really supports us to move through that process, and then we actually get healing on the other side of it. And that's what God wants for us: wholeness, healing, coming back to balance. So then we can really live out our missions.
That's so beautiful. You said our society is so focused on being productive, productive, productive. But in a Christian like subsect here, it's not just productivity. We've kind of melded our modern culture with Christianity, and it's kind of become this thing. And what I see is that we think not feeling anything and not going to the darkness and not doing that internal work, like the Audye is saying, what would have helped us get unstuck? What would have helped us make the leap? I think that we have confused courage and these beautiful virtues with this sense of stoicism. We think that we have to stay up here and pretend that everything's okay, and that is courage. That is bravery. That is virtue. But the truth is, we're being cowards. We're being afraid and scared to actually go deep and do the work. Um, and I don't know, whenever I first saw it that way and thought, if I stay here, it's actually the opposite of courage. It's because I'm afraid to go deep. What's going to happen to me if I go deep? Will my life change? Yes, it will. Will my marriage change? Yes, it will. Will my health change? Yes, it will. But aren't I ready for that? Haven't I been praying for that for years? So I'm praying for something and then I'm blocking it because I'm actually afraid to go deep. And I'm calling it, I'm looking at all of that and I'm calling it, I'm going to be a good, courageous Christian. I'm just going to push through. And it's really just a huge limiting lie that I believed for so long that actually just kept me stuck right there and really made it where God could not answer my prayers because I was blocking them.
Yes. Oh, beautifully said. I love that you bring that up. Yeah, I think so often when people are praying for help, like, God, please come help the situation. I've been praying for so long. Like, we're praying from a disempowered place. Sometimes we don't even realize it. It's like, we need to surrender everything to God, but we need to surrender it from that empowered place of, I genuinely trust that you are here, versus the disempowered place of like, this is like that mindset of lack. It's not going to work out, struggling to have hope. Praying from that place, there's blocks to receiving God's grace from that place. God's going to bless you anyways. Like, of course, He's going to use every single prayer, but to support us and kind of how can we remove those blocks so we can pray from a different heart posture. And then again, the graces can finally get in a different way. And I just love how you spoke to that, Reagan. I think so many of us can relate with that.
Well, and Audie, you mentioned setting it down. We can set our struggles down at the feet of the altar. And I've done this with clients where we set it down because that's the request. I just need to let this go. I just need to let this go. I just want to let this go. I just want to not feel this anymore. I want to surrender this. And we really use the word surrender wrong, and we really use it to mean take all of these feelings away so I stop ruminating on my thoughts. And it just doesn't. I wish that worked. I wish I could say, God, just remove it from my mind. Like, just zip it out. But for me, it's usually, like you said, it's usually pointing to an area in my heart that He's wanting to come in and renovate. He's wanting to heal or restore in some way. And if He just zips it out of my mind and pulls it out, then I don't go in and I don't actually let Him turn those parts of me to be more like Him and more like who He made me to be. But when I take this practice with my clients and we take our dreams, our goals, our frustrations, our whatever it is, and we take it and we set it at the altar, we look at Jesus on the altar, we look for Him, we actually have that intimate moment of, okay, Lord, here it is, I'm handing it to you. It's not disempowered, it's I'm waiting for His response. What does He say to do? And you nailed it, Claire. You're like, sometimes He just says, I got it. But sometimes He's like, here are some ways that I want you to go on a journey with me.
Exactly. You never know how He's going to help you to heal. And it's usually in very unexpected ways in my experience. I find sometimes he doesn't want to always heal things the same way twice. Like, he might miraculously heal you one time of a physical issue or an emotional struggle, and the next time you deal with something similar, he's like, no, we're going on the journey this time. Like, but there's goodness in all of it. There's glory in all of it. And we grow. Like, we're here on earth to grow, to evolve, to support, to grow in our capacity to receive love and to give love. And that means we have to go in. And again, I think it all begins with love your neighbor as you love yourself. How can I go in and how can I love the broken parts of me first? Because when I can do it for me, how much more can I go and do that for my neighbor then?
Absolutely. My goodness.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know. This is such a good topic. Obviously, like, there's so much that can be said about this, but yeah, for those who are wanting to go on their healing journey, they've considered the idea of like faith-based therapy or coaching. I like, truly this is an invitation, and I think this is where like the Rising Tide Fellowship is really beneficial too. You know, like, you get to come be in community in your healing too. You don't have to go about it alone. And I think, if nothing else, don't do the healing alone. Whether you're inviting God into it, whether you're getting into community with it, whether you're hiring a coach or a therapist, whoever that is, like, you don't have to do this by yourself. There's people who can support you, who can guide you in the process, and streamline it so you don't have to feel stuck on that journey, because all of us get stuck along the journey, which means it's time to ask for help. I'm not supposed to do this alone, and it's okay to ask for that.
I
It's a
love
great
that. I
reminder.
used to be a fitness trainer many years ago. I was a fitness trainer in a gym in Abilene, Texas, and I don't remember the percentages now, but the chances of people succeeding in a weight loss journey without accountability, without a friend or a friend group or a trainer or something was like, I don't even remember. It was like less than 5%. Like, it's really hard for people to do it alone. And it's no different everywhere else. It's no different with all of our other journeys that we go on in life. So yeah, I'm with you on just, oh, that's so important to not think, oh, I'm going to muscle through this by myself. Why? It is.
It's so good. I mean, even me as a therapist, as a coach, like, I have so many tools and things I've learned on my journey, and I love applying them to my life. But even now, it's like, sometimes I'm gonna need to reach out for support, and that's a good and beautiful thing. Like, we have to give and we have to receive. We have to have both. It's important.
For sure. If we, yeah, coaches believe in coaches for sure. Therapists believe in therapists for sure.
So
Audie, do you have
true.
any final questions or thoughts?
I can't think of anything. This conversation would have been so good for me like 2.5 or 3 years ago. And I just like keep thinking, and I'm just like, I know and remember what it was like to be at that point where I was like, I don't want to eat the humble pie and ask for help, but like, I'm not okay. Like, I'm not okay. And it's like, I see that I want to grow and I'm called to grow, but I'm terrified. And so it just like hearing this conversation just like spoke to like a little piece of audience. I want to thank you guys for that because it's so nice, and I hope that we get to touch other women in the same position I was at that point too. Because this is just such a good conversation that needs to have that like we're not going to get from everybody. And that's the thing is our church groups aren't always going to have somebody that's going to be we can have so many bad experiences with certain things and it leaves certain tastes in our mouths. And if we're not skilled enough to be able to see what was a modality and what was maybe not the right person for you, it can be difficult to work through that. And I feel like you guys like we just squash this. Like Claire, you just like squash it. It's like everybody go to therapy, everybody get coaching, and we'll all do it together. Join the Rising Tide. Links in the description. Like we've got to do it together.
It's so true. And I think that's, again, where the
So,
rising tide is so beneficial for, like, people who are like, I don't really know where to start. I know I need more support. I know I want to grow in certain areas. I want to have a personal development journey, but with a trusted, faith-filled group of women, like the Rising Tide Fellowship is so beautiful for that, because we have multiple coaches of all these different niches, and you get to like cherry pick from all of them and get support from everybody. It's like truly the best case scenario. It's such a
And just spending time too. I think, getting this long form content with the podcast, you get to know our hearts and really see if this is something that, just those conversations that you're like, ooh, this is really resonating. I really feel God calling me to do more of this. And the Rising Tide Fellowship is that tiny little next step of I just want to spend time with good people, having good conversations but I want to spend time with them. I don't want to just listen to them. I want to go spend time with them. It was just that next little step of like okay, God, I'm just gonna go hang out with good people and see what happens.
Exactly. Just changing your environment. Even if it's virtual. It's like this is a virtual community for people all over. But I know, it's like the women in this community, I'm so impressed with them. I'm like, you guys have attracted the best people in this community, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. But it's the presence, it's being with each other, it's the relationship, it's slowing down to just be with one another. And then the rest is bonus. The rest is just the cherry on top.
If anyone has any questions, they can always go to risingtidefellowship.com, click the podcast button, scroll down to the bottom, and there is a fellowship forum where we answer questions and give feedback. And I think that's a wrap, ladies. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you for coming and sharing. And if anybody wants to receive coaching from Claire, we'll leave all of her information in the notes.
Thank you both so much. It's been such a gift to talk with you guys today. Such important topics. And looking forward to seeing you both in the Rising Tide.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Weekly Fellowship Podcast. If you'd like to work with Regan, you can learn more about her on her website at reganclementcoaching.com.
And if you'd like to work with Audye, you can find her at audyegonzalez.com. Season 3 is sponsored by the Rising Tide Fellowship, an online community for faith-filled women looking for growth. You can learn more about our mission at risingtidefellowship.com.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.